This is episode 26 of the Low Key Podcast. I do not own the rights to the music that's being played in future or past podcasts of the Low Key Podcast. This is episode 26 of the Low Key Podcast. Don't go in the woods.
Hey, you alright? I'm so sorry. Yeah.
I just found this tied to a tree back there. Somebody did this.
Hello? We're lost. We're looking for a phone.
What's going on? You're now tuned into the Low Key Podcast, episode 26, Don't Go in the Woods. I'm basically going to be getting into the Wrong Turn series because a recent trailer just came out for a new Wrong Turn that's going to be coming out in 2021. And this Wrong Turn that's coming out in 2021, as far as the trailer goes, it looks like kind of a different tone. It looks like they might even try to be going a little more of a horror, dramatic tone, giving some of these characters depth, as far as giving them more, I ain't going to say story, but giving them more human natures. Giving them more humanity. You know what I'm saying? Making us want to care about these characters more is what I'm saying. I'm trying to say. And in most of the Wrong Turns, as far as the past Wrong Turns, we didn't care about none of these. I would say probably the first one where we really honestly probably cared about most of those characters. The first one. And the first one to me is a pretty good movie. Even going back watching it today, and I ain't watched it today, but I'm saying it was recently watching it, it was like, yo, this was a pretty decent, good horror movie. It wasn't no just like some cheap scares or anything like that either. It had some decent scares in it. And even with the characters, I actually cared about some of these characters. But after that, not to blame anything, most of the movies that came after that was like some straight to DVD stuff. So part 2 was pretty decent. If you was just there to watch people get messed up as far as part 2 go, then that's what you was there for. If you wanted to see some people come back and try to get their revenge on the mountain men or whatnot, then that was part 2 was for too. Because it kind of had somebody that you could root for also, but at the same time, it had characters that you kind of wanted to survive, but at the same time, it had some motherfuckers that you wanted to die. Like, kill these motherfuckers now. Like, straight up, like, take them out. But to be honest, most of these movies, like, shit, from after 2, 3, 4, and 5, and 6, like, it's just, that's it. That shit ain't nothing. It's just a bunch of torture porn to me, honestly. It's a bunch of motherfuckers, basically killing a bunch of teenagers coming in the woods, basically. Over and over and over. That's the movie. And it even gets to a point where the bad guys or the mountain men end up like, and I don't feel like I'm giving nothing away. These some silly ass movies. You can go watch them. Wrong Turn, I would say Wrong Turn 1, I won't give nothing away. If you haven't seen Wrong Turn, which I feel like you have, it came out in 2003. So trust me, you should have seen it. But Wrong Turn is the most decent one you're going to get. After that, it is what it is. Like I said, there ain't nothing to look forward to. You got a bunch of motherfuckers that go out in the woods and they get killed. You know what you're getting. The thing about it is, most of the time, after like a couple of them, like the mountain men was just basically like killing people, and that's it. The end of the movie, they kept going. Like, they wasn't nobody killing them, wasn't nobody coming after them. They was basically on some Home Alone type shit with the people they was killing. I will say part 3 of Wrong Turn 3 is one of the funniest ones. Like, you want to check that out and laugh, have you a good laugh at somebody, that's one of the good ones. There's somebody in there, it's a Mexican, like, prisoner, that he real funny as hell. You will enjoy that one, I would say, as far as it being funny. Don't care, just trust me. You don't care about nobody in these movies after 1 and 2. You don't care about nobody. But seeing what they're trying to do now with this reboot, it seems like they're trying to go somewhat of a more, I think they are even making a more human route. Because, come on, these niggas was getting stabbed, burnt alive and all this shit, and they were still good to go. You know what I'm saying? I don't care if they mutants or not. They were still supposed to be human, right? As far as I know. But they was doing all this extra shit, coming back. People burn them, shoot them, this and the third, and they still coming back. So, yeah. And I see in this new trailer, though, they still got a lot of the traps. But I see that they're not showing nobody. That's the thing about this new trailer. They're not showing the mountain men. They're showing most of the characters. You know, they got kids going into the woods again. And it's one particular scene that, like, I'm telling you, it looks like it's going to be a good scary scene. It's a scene where this girl is sitting in a tent, it's lightning and stuff. It looks like a real good scene. But anyway, as far as what they're doing with this story, it seems like they're kind of adding a little bit more depth to the mountain men as far as, I guess, giving them some type of humanity. I don't know, but even I think you can get some glimpses of them in there, and they seem to me a little bit more human. Like, they don't seem so disfigured. I don't know if they're going to be real disfigured or not. I hope so, because, I mean, I don't even see what's the point of doing this if you're not going to have them disfigured. But they're not really showing them. So I kind of think that's a good thing. I do, honestly, because it kind of makes looking forward more to the film, because I'm like, okay, so what y'all going to be doing with them? They obviously not going to look like they did in the other movies. So I'm kind of curious on what they're doing with that. And, of course, I'm waiting to see if they're going to release this in theaters or is it going to come straight out, because I'm thinking this is still under the rights of 20th Century Studios. And that used to be 20th Century Fox, of course, but Disney bought them out. So I'm trying to see what they're doing with this. Is this going to be coming something straight out on like a Hulu or something? Or they're going to let this go on the theaters and try to see what it does? But like I said, it's honestly not too much to get into as far as these other series. I mean, 1 and 2 are basically the same mountain men, but except ain't nothing really. They killing the kids in the woods. Part 3, you basically get a prison, and you get one of the last of the mountain men, because like in 1 and 2, they basically done killed most of them off. So in like in part 3, you basically get like the last one of the mountain men, and they got a child of blah, blah, blah. I'm just saying, man, this shit is silly. You can go watch this shit. This shit is all over the place. But, yeah, and then in part 4, this is where they're basically giving you a prequel. You basically get a prequel of, I'm guessing, where they came from, how they got to where they was at, or whatnot, as far as the mountain men. Shit's silly, man. It's silly, and that's part 4. Part 5 is basically another prequel. This is basically, like, they just go some backwards ass shit, and I don't even get it what they doing. And when I tell you this, part 5 is looking like a stage play. I'm telling you, the whole atmosphere of the town they're in, the way it looks, this shit looks like a stage play. That's how bad it gets. And I'm thinking this was on Sci-Fi Channel budget. I'm thinking that's what this was. That's what was going on. And with part 6, it's just off the rails. I don't know what was going on with that. They just went, like, I don't think they teenagers. These basically a bunch of people that come out to a hotel resort or whatnot, trying to figure out somebody's inheritance or something. This is some silly shit, man. Like I said, this is supposed to be still a prequel session as far as I know. But like I said, these movies they got all over the place, man. They didn't have no continuation. They wasn't like in order or nothing like that. Like I said, it's basically, if you ask me if it's in order, you basically starting at 4, 5, 6, and 1, 2, and 3. Basically, that's how it's got to be. It ain't hard to figure out, but that's basically what they tried to do. And that's why I said I'm kind of excited about what they're doing with this one, as far as the reboot, and seeing if they're going to get into more depth of the mountain men, and are they going to bring the old guy back in some type of fashion? Not the original guy, of course, but if they're going to have a new guy that's taking care of them, or they're going to have other people that's taking care of them, or are they more, and that's another thing, are they going to make them more efficient as far as smart? Like I ain't going to say they were particularly stupid. They were just goofy motherfuckers as far as the mountain men. Man, they can't be that stupid if they getting all these motherfuckers and gathering them up and killing them in this and that third, even if they is dumbass teenagers, some of them. But still, the way they got this tone is, it's like these guys know what they're doing as far as these mountain men. They're not stupid. They're not, I don't know. That's another thing. I wonder if they're eating them, because, you know, in the other wrong turns, they're eating them. They said they're chopping them up and all this and the third. So I really am trying to figure out if are they going to be doing that same thing with this one, or are they trying to mix some things up? Are they trying to do some different things? And what I want with this one is I don't want some silly kills, man. You know what I'm saying? I don't want no silly, just some silly atmosphere. I want people to be smart. I want them to make smart moves, and I want the mountain men to be able to outsmart them, I guess. You know what I'm saying? As far as you want to care about these characters, and you want to see them like making decisions that's not stupid, where you were like, okay, they would not do this. That's what I'm saying, basically. You want to see a movie with making decisions that you would think somebody would make in a situation like that. Even though a lot of us ain't been in no situations like that, but still, you would think they're going to make common sense decisions, or if they're in a panic mode, okay, they're going to make some kind of panic decisions, but still make it realistic and to the point where we're on the edge of our seats and we don't know what's coming next, or we rooting for some character, this and the third. And that's the main thing, is make sure we are rooting for these characters. Don't give us a bunch of characters that we are just sitting here waiting to see die, like in these other movies, because I'll say even from 2 to 6, from as far as the Wrong Turn movies, you were just waiting to see how they were going to die, basically. That's, to me, basically was Friday the 13th. Like, all those sequels, you was waiting to see how people was going to die. You didn't care who was going to die. You were just waiting to see how they was going to die. The main character of these movies are the protagonists. And that's as far as who you going to live and who going to die. But the main character of these movies are, of course, the mountain men. Just like it's Freddy, Jason, Michael Myers. It's the guys that are killing the people. That's the main character. That's why you coming to see the movie. But we want to care about the characters so we can get more invested in the movie and enjoy ourselves, because to me, that gets boring quick watching people just get hacked off and knocked off quick, especially when you don't care about them. But I got a real good example that I would love for them to go the route of. And if they're going to do especially if they're doing a reboot, I would love to see them go the route of what they did with the Hills Have Eyes remake. That first one, not Hills Have Eyes 2 remake, but the first one they did with Alexandra Aja. I think that's his name, but I would really love for them to go that route, because I'm telling you, going to see the Hills Have Eyes remake, and I went to the movies to see this movie, and I don't want to get out of the subject of what I'm talking about as far as Wrong Turn, but the Hills Have Eyes and Wrong Turn are similar movies because they are basically like mutant people that's killing people. Hills Have Eyes is basically people that got hit like by a nuclear bomb or some shit. And as far as Wrong Turn, you know, the mountain men are just like hillbilly people that's basically mutated over the years that's been living in the mountains for a long time, shit like that, I guess. But anyway, with that remake of the Hills Have Eyes, it was so dark. It was so dark and dramatic though, but these characters, this family, you was just like, you sitting here looking at this family in the beginning, it's like, yeah, this cool, this whatnot. But then when the shit hits the fan, when they start knocking people off, killing people left and right, they killing the mom, killing the dead, like they killing all these people, and then they take the bait, like, man, I'm telling, and I hope I'm not giving nothing away. This movie came out, as far as I know, 2006. You should have seen it as far as the Hills Have Eyes, but I'm just giving you, that's the way I'm sounding, that's how this movie was. You talking about somebody sitting in the theater with their mouth open wide, like, what the fuck? What's going on? Like, they went there and the shit was real. And the way they put the hero in this movie, as far as the Hills Have Eyes remake, the way they had this guy come back to be able to do what he did to get to his child, man, like, this is what I'm talking about. This is what you need to do. We want to care about these characters. We want to go there. Of course, they fucked up with the Hills Have Eyes remake 2, the part 2 they came out with, which I don't know why they did that shit. But anyway, I would really love for them to go that route. And if you have not, I suggest you check out the Hills Have Eyes remake. I think it came out 2006, if I'm not mistaken. It was either 2006 or 2005. Excuse me if I'm wrong, but it's the Hills Have Eyes remake. Not the old, it's a one that came out a long time ago with Wes Craven, Hills Have Eyes. That was like 1970 something. I'm not talking about that one. I am talking about 2006, if I'm not mistaken, Hills Have Eyes. Check it out. But these movies are similar. Hills Have Eyes and Wrong Turn movies are similar. But anyway, like I said, I wanted to just get into some of those past wrong turns and some of the things I hope they do different with this new wrong turn, because I would really love for them to go a route of making us care about these characters a lot. So when things start hitting the fan, we are just sitting there and like on hands and knees, just not knowing what's even going to happen. And that's where I want to be. I don't want to be sitting there like, okay, we know he about to die. We don't want to do that. We want to see like what's going to happen next. Who going to be next? And that's my reference to that Hills Have Eyes remaking. I don't want to keep bringing that up, but I'm just saying how good that is because of not knowing what was coming and how it was coming, because that's how hard that movie hit you in the gut. And that's what I want with this Wrong Turn remake. I want it to be a gut punch, like for real. And I hope they do that. But like I said, that was just my input. I am a fan of all of them. I am. I'm. That's my guilty pleasure. I can say that because I will go back and watch most of them Wrong Turn movies. I will, straight up. So they are my guilty pleasures, but that's what they got to remain. Let's go a different route and give me something I can like, woo, this was it right here. That's what I want with this new Wrong Turn, and I hope they do that with this. But appreciate y'all tuning in, man. This is the Low Key Podcast, episode 26, Don't Go in the Woods.
Sweetheart, baby, seriously, this isn't funny.